This is our new UC Blue Ash College Entrepreneur Speaker Series, and it's designed to bring you all sorts of insights from some of the top business leaders in the region. How did they get started? How did they overcome their challenges that arose as they built and grew their businesses? What secrets can they share to help current and future entrepreneurs to realize their dreams? We're in for a treat tonight. This new speaker series is the brainchild of our professor, Professor Kent Lutz, one of our esteemed business and economics professors at UC Blue Ash. Kent has a long history in entrepreneurship and has developed a family-owned business of his own. He has presented at national conferences on these topics and created the Lutz Institute to advise and educate family-controlled businesses on a variety of matters. Before joining UC Blue Ash, Kent served as the director of the UC Gehring Center for Family and Private Business in the Lindner College of Business. Please join me first in welcoming Professor Kent Lutz, who will serve as the host for tonight's evening.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay. Thank you.
They cheer for you, Kent. That's fantastic.
What can I say? I don't
love
know.
that.
Thank you.
Gotta love that. We are truly excited to kick off this first installation in this first installment in our new entrepreneurship speaker series this evening. And we're especially pleased to welcome such a prestigious guest to help us to launch this program. Let me tell you about Jeff Wyler. Jeff Wyler, as so many of you already know, is the chairman and CEO of the Jeff Wyler Automotive Family, the company that he founded in 1973 as a Chevrolet dealership. Since then, the company has grown from one Chevrolet location in Batavia to 13 locations in Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky, representing 15 different makes. They have nearly 1,300 employees now. Sales have grown from 200 cars a year to more than 30,000 cars a year in 2013, and the Jeff Wyler Automotive Family was listed by Automotive News in 2013 as the 53rd largest dealer group in the country. Jeff serves as chairman of the board of C-Bank, a commercial bank located in downtown Cincinnati that he helped to co-found in 2007. He is a member of the Greater Cincinnati Business Hall of Fame, and he serves on the board of trustees of the Cincinnati Art Museum and of UC Health. Jeff is also a proud University of Cincinnati alum who also previously served on the UC Board of Trustees and spent 3 years as the chair. Please join me in welcoming a very, very, very big name in Cincinnati. He's quite the legend in Cincinnati. Watch him blush, Jeff Wyler.
All right, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a little too much.
Thank you very much, Katie, for those kind words for both Jeff and myself. I think the big question that we want to ask you first off tonight, Jeff, is what kind of car did you drive to UC Blue Ash tonight? Because your options are pretty wide.
Yes, they are. I am driving tonight, and tonight only, a brand new Kia K900. Maybe some of you have seen the commercials.
It's an awesome car.
Well, this K900, I never thought I'd see a Kia with a $66,000 window sticker, but it's an incredible car.
Well, okay, so Kias, remember that, only $66,000 for this particular model.
For that one.
For that one.
We have them cheaper.
Well, let's start off with kind of what led you into your entrepreneurial journey. Where did it all start? I think it's really interesting to know from successful entrepreneurs where they really kind of got their start and where they came from.
My parents grew up as children of the Depression. And so after World War II, jobs were very, very important. So everybody in my family that I knew worked for a major corporation. You know, they all worked for somebody. And they were very, I want to say, conservative. They didn't take many risks. Mm-hmm. I went to the University of Cincinnati and got a degree in finance. And when I finished, I had 3 job offers. One was with Smith Barney on Wall Street in New York, and one was with General Motors Chevrolet division here in Cincinnati. And they were going to pay me more money to live in Cincinnati than they were going to pay me to live in Manhattan. I don't know whether you all have been to Manhattan or not, but you can't do that. So being a finance guy, I took the job with Chevrolet here in town. And for 7 years, I worked for the General Motors Corporation, spending time every day talking to car dealers, Chevrolet dealers in the Midwest here in Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. And when I got to be 31 years old, I got really frustrated with my boss, who was an idiot.
Heard that before.
Yeah, I bet all of you have, or some of you have had that. Same guy.
Yeah.
And I got really frustrated. So I'd spent all these years working with these Chevrolet dealers, and I said, these guys can't be that smart. And they look like they're all doing pretty well. So I rolled the dice. And in 1973, we opened a little Chevrolet dealership in downtown Batavia, Ohio, with 12 people. And I got the support of two friends who put up 3/4 of the money. And I went to the bank and they borrowed a little money. And that was it. And we got started.
You know, I think that's one of the challenges that a lot of entrepreneurs face when they have an idea. You know, they've got the entrepreneurial itch. They want to go out on their own, but maybe they don't have any real capital to get started. What would be, you know, your recommendation to those that really do have that itch but don't know how to go about it?
Well, in my case, I invested my entire life savings of $10,000.
Which was a lot of money in 1970s.
It wasn't that much money, but but through the good fortune of these two guys who believed in me that I'd known, one was a Chevrolet dealer from Columbus, and the other was a former supervisor of mine at General Motors. They put up $90,000, and I went to the bank and borrowed 20, and that's how I got started. And now, for those of you who are trying to start a business, it's not easy to get capital. And you want to be very careful because you knock on mom and dad's door. You don't want to break them as they mature. So you got to have a really good idea what you're going to do with it, other than the fact that I just want to be my own boss and you don't know what the hell you're going to do. You got to have an idea where you want to go. Mm-hmm. And I did. I mean, I'm a retailer. I sell Chevrolets in 1973, and that was the #1 volume product in America. So I didn't have to create a market. Well, I had to create a market in Batavia, Ohio, but I didn't have to create a market for my cars. And if you're going to invent a product, make sure that somebody wants to buy it. Because if nobody buys something from you, doesn't matter what you got. If nobody buys it, you're out of business.
Well, you had some real experience actually in the automobile business before you started your own. Do you think that's really important for someone looking to maybe start their own business, to have the same experience in the same industry?
Absolutely. I mean, here I am. I've been in business for 41 years. Now, I couldn't go out and start a restaurant, even if I was insane. But there's things I just can't do. Now, there are a lot of business things that are the same. You run a business. You run a business very similarly. We have that bank, C Bank, that y'all talked about before, mm-hmm. And that's a bank. You know, I've been in the banking business for 25 years. I served on the board of Bank One here in Cincinnati, and then when we started this bank in 2007, I had some idea what the bank does. Mm-hmm. But when we get into these things, people are always saying, "Hey, how about investing in this?" And I'm saying, "Well, I don't know anything about it." I do know what I'm doing in my business, so I try to stay invested in my business, and that's why it's grown.
How did you go about, Jeff, how did you go about getting really quality people to come to work for you? Because obviously when you build an organization, it's really all about the people you put around you. It's not all about you. It's all about your team, is it not?
Absolutely. My original business philosophy was if I had happy employees and happy customers, I would be a very happy guy. Mm-hmm. That hasn't changed in 40 years. If I got happy employees, happy customers, I'm going to be happy. Now, when I started in 1973 as a little Chevrolet dealer in downtown Batavia, I did not have the opportunity to get the best and the brightest to come to work for me. Mm-hmm. In fact, I went through as many slugs over the first 3 or 4 years as you could possibly find. Okay. But I did pick up one here, one there. And of the 12 people that started with me in '73, one still works with me.
Wow.
And we had dinner the other night, and I've got 4 or 5 35-year employees now. And as we got better and better and grew, the best and the brightest started knocking on our door. Mm-hmm. So you have to show some success to get those people to come with you. And right now, we're doing well, and we have the opportunity to take all kinds of different people. And some of you may want to consider a job in the retail car business. It's a great business for young people, but you have to put in the retail hours. And that means you're going to have to work Saturdays, you're going to have to work some evenings. But I've got young people who graduated from college a decade ago that are making $250,000 a year. That's pretty good. It's better than some places working for maybe even Procter & Gamble or Fifth Third Bank.
Right.
Or maybe teaching school.
Oh, well, I can attest to that for sure, quite a ways away from that level. Well, so what would you consider some of your real challenges while you were growing your business that you really had to overcome?
Well, not ever being in business before, and it didn't take me but about 2 days to realize that the buck stopped with me. You can't blame somebody else for the mistakes. It's all about you. And if you're not secure in yourself and self-reliant and willing to accept responsibility for your own life, just don't become an entrepreneur. But if you want to be in control and you want to make other people grow, it's a great thing to do. Now, the challenges are to get everybody to work as a team. You probably know that there's more than one auto dealer in town, right? Do you?
I've never heard of any other auto dealer, right? No, right?
Oh, that's
Nobody
great.
else. The brand is there, we know the brand.
There's a lot of competition in our industry for sales, for locations, and we have to be just better than anybody else. And we do that through training. We built a new training center out in Milford that we can train 100 people at a time, and
Oh, wow.
it's got all the audio visual stuff, and we got trainers, and it's unique in the entire country. I've had people come in from the West Coast, from the South, and say, you even go to the publicly held companies, and they don't have a facility like this to train their employees. So that's really important, Ken.
Entrepreneurship is really catching on at the university levels where, classes are being offered now. When I was in school, probably when you were in school, there was no such thing as an entrepreneurship class. In fact,
Correct.
I never even heard the term before. Do you think that entrepreneurship courses can be advantageous to young people who are really looking maybe for a way to start a business?
No question about that. I frankly was a sophomore in college when I first heard the term entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. I was in a general business class or something. And that's the first time I ever heard it. I didn't know what it was. Now, today, people want to become entrepreneurs. They don't want to work in big companies. They don't want to be pipe fitters or welders. They want to.
Well, even they can be entrepreneurs, though.
They can
not?
be. Well, true.
Yeah.
But they don't want to work for
Tradesmen.
somebody else.
Yeah.
They want to be on their own. It might be just a one-person company, or it might be a 1,000-person company. But a lot of people, and I think maybe a lot of you are taking entrepreneurship classes that will give you some idea what it's like to be an entrepreneur. I used to talk to, you remember Charlie Barngrover?
I remember the name, accounting professor. I
Yeah,
think,
he was a
wasn't
finance professor at
Okay.
UC. I was his undergraduate assistant when I was a junior and senior at UC. And 20 years later, he called me and said, will you come back and talk to my entrepreneurship class? So I did that every year for about 10 years until he retired. And it was a master's program, and Charlie was smart. Mm-hmm. He had this entrepreneurs class, And your job in the entrepreneurship class was to write a business plan.
Oh, you've heard that before, right?
Yeah.
Who hasn't heard that before?
But what Charlie did was brought in all of his old students for the 10 weeks of the class, and they talked to the class for 2 hours, and he never did anything.
I like it. I like it. That's good.
Now that's a real entrepreneur right there.
That's right. That's right.
And I never forgot that, because and every year I'd be the last speaker, and he'd give me this stinking cookie like this, you know. And my little kids, they just couldn't wait for me to come home from teaching that class. So I think you'll learn a lot. I think the more that you're exposed to people who are in business like me, I think you learn more. My favorite class was as a senior at UC. The retired chairman of First National Bank of Cincinnati, which is now U.S. Bank, retired and came to work at UC as a professor. And he did the same thing Charlie did. He brought in all his old cronies from business around Cincinnati, and they talked to our class about what they did in business. And I think I learned more from that than I did from every book I read while I was in school.
You know, one of the statistics you hear too about people starting a business from scratch is that the chance of success, you know, within, let's say, 3, 5, 6, 7 years is pretty small. In fact, you're probably going to lose money. Now, it's the exceptional situation where, in fact, you might make money in those early years. But why do you think a lot of entrepreneurs kind of fail along the way?
Well, there's as many reasons for that as there are reasons for success.
Yeah.
Number one, I guess, is they're undercapitalized. They don't have enough money to get through a little dip. They don't understand the business they're in. Those would be the two biggest things. And then frequently, as I've grown through my career, I've watched people have success in their first few years. Then they think that they're bulletproof.
Okay.
And I've made $1 million. I am now the smartest guy on the planet. And somehow that money just disappears pretty quickly. And I've learned to see that in people when I'm talking to them and so on. So if you're going to start a business, dedicate yourself to that business. Don't be distracted. Focus. Focus on your business. Focus on your family and other things like that, but focus on your business. And don't get off track. And stay with your business that you know before you start going out and trying to, I'm going to be this, and I'm going to be that, I'm going to be this.
I've always wanted to know, Jeff, where you came up with the commercial, "Cars like eggs are cheaper in the country." Where did you come up with that
Now,
great
there's
phrase?
some people here with gray hair that know what that means. Most of you never heard that slogan, "Cars like eggs are cheaper in the country." When I first started in business in Batavia, it was in the country. I mean, you drove through country to get to downtown Batavia. And I'd like to tell you that I created this out of a brainstorm one night, but I didn't. I had a good friend who was a Chevrolet dealer in Columbus, Ohio, in a similar situation outside of town. And he used this slogan, and he had become very successful with it. So I said, "Hey, Bob, can I use that when I go to Cincinnati?" He said, "I don't care. I got it from somebody in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania."
Okay.
So I've had people over the years claim that they created that. And it was very successful to me because it brought people from all over Southwest Ohio to downtown Batavia to buy a car. And we haven't really used that for almost 32 years. So most
Has it
of
been
you
that long? Wow.
Yeah, the early 80s I stopped using it because the country disappeared out there. All these fast food restaurants and stuff came out. So every once in a while somebody will do that. "Cars like eggs are cheaper in the country." And I've had good friends that have known me for a long time call me eggs. And we used to give a dozen eggs with every car you bought too. And so it was a whole marketing
That was an
plan.
incentive to buy a car,
Yeah,
wasn't
I mean,
it? You know,
but
that's
they were
good.
55 cents a dozen those days. We can't afford it now.
Well, we have reached the time limit, but I want to ask, do you have any final words to say to our gathered group here tonight? This has been great. We really appreciate you taking the time to...
Let me say this. I understand that I'm the first of the series.
Yes.
So, folks, you've already seen the best and the worst. So I am the worst speaker that has ever been here, and I'm also the best. So those of you who want to get into business, it's been a terrific journey for me, as you can tell. Happy guy. I have my family involved in it. I've got actually my grandson, who was a freshman at SMU, sold cars this summer and sold his first car. And the tradition is they cut off your tie. And he came home with a cut off tie, and he was so happy. In fact, he called me and he said, "Papa, I want you to know first, I sold my first car." So obviously, my son has 3 boys, so I think the business, there seems to be some growth there. Couldn't be happier with things that have happened to me. So I just hope you have as good a time as I have, and particularly you youngsters, I hope that you're coming back here in 45, 50 years and talking to the next group of entrepreneurs. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks, John. Thank you very much.